Happy Sunday, friends, and welcome to a special edition of the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show being brought to you by Blue Shamrock Music and Mr. Stephen Brady and Music Dreams USA Radio. On today's show, I'm going to start the show by saying I've had the opportunity to interview many people. And on this interview today, it's going to be emotional. I'm going to give you a heads up. We're going to be interviewing an artist. He goes by the name of Tigmatic. And he's a very talented artist, and he's got a story he'll be sharing with us live on this Sunday. I cannot remember the last time we did a show on this Sunday, but nevertheless, though, it's just great to be here, and we're going to learn more about Tigmatic, and he has a story he'll be sharing with us that's going to be very heartwarming, and it's going to be emotional. It's going to be heartwarming, and I think it's a story that we all need to hear. And so we're grateful for him to come on Sunday, spend some time away from his family to be with us. So again, special thank you to Tigmatic. Now, he's also a member of Music Dreams USA Radio. That's right. He just started working with us, and he is the boss, man. He's leading the podcast team for us. He's also going to be doing a live radio show as well on the radio station. So we're just so blessed to have him. And without any further delay, let's meet our special guest, again being brought to you by Blue Shamrock Music, a record label, Mr. Stephen Brady. Tigmatic, happy Sunday to you, my friend.
Hey, man, happy Sunday to you as well. Thank you for having me.
Man, we wouldn't have it any other way, you know. And so, I mean, first and foremost, I want to open up the interview by saying thank you for all that you do for Music Dreams USA Radio. I really believe that you are definitely... You and Fabian, man, you guys are like peanut butter and jelly. you guys are amazing. So let's start off the show, and if you can share with our listeners a little bit about you, how you got started in as being an artist, how that happened for you.
Okay, well, first off, hello world. My name is Tigmatic. I am a Philadelphia native from South Philadelphia, to be exact. The hard part. And I got into music at a very young age. I was about, I want to say 9 years old. I would listen to my mom play a lot of old school music, Marvin Gaye, Teddy Pendergrass, but she also played rap as well. I'm a rapper, but she also played rap as well. Kumo D, LL Cool J, a lot of the greats, KRS-One, Rakim, a lot of the great rappers from that era, and a lot of R&B artists as well. So for me, growing up, I want to say that it really started later on for me to take it seriously. But 9 years old was when I started to play with words. I was a little troubled kid, and I spent a lot of time on punishment. And when I was on punishment, one of my things that I had to do on punishment was read the dictionary. Well, my thing was, if I'm going to read the dictionary, I'm going to start writing some lyrics and take some words that I learned in the dictionary. Back then, this was early 90s. So back then, rappers were big on, saying a whole bunch of big words. So in their lyrics, and sometimes people didn't know what they meant, but they had to go back and, look up what the words meant. So, I was infatuated with that. And I started to do that. And yeah, man, the rest was pretty much history. But I started to write, and as I was going to school, we would have like this thing called ciphers. For those that don't know, ciphers are when a whole bunch of people get together, and there's usually someone like making a beat on the table. They're on the table going, they put the beats on the table, and then the person is rapping. Well, I got infatuated with watching other people do it first. So I just started to put the lyrics on the paper, and I was reading them, and then I started to practice over the other rappers, from that era, I would listen to some LL or KRS-One or whoever was the artist, the hot artist at the time, even Michael Jackson included. I would be rapping over their beats or their music while the song is playing, just to catch the beat. And I happened to start to get good at it. And because I got good at it, I just kept at it. And it transcended from elementary school to middle school. As I was in middle school, I started battling other artists in school. We were having rap battles at lunch. And so it became a cool thing for me, and it made me very popular in the school. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got started. And then once I got to high school, it was really, really even more. It was even more harder to try to get people to understand who I was. I had a troubled life, so I'm pretty sure you'll ask questions, and I'll tell whatever it is that you want to know. But to answer this question, I started to rap in school, at high school, and once people really started to see me in high school, it was like, man, he's got it. I'm telling you, this guy got it. He's good, and I was good at making beats on the table too. So not only did I rap, I made beats on the table for other people too. So I started to make beats as well when I linked up with some friends in the upper part of northern part of Philadelphia, and they were called the Lions Den. So I got in this rap group called the Lions Den, and we pretty much did some things. And I want to give them a special shout out. Shout out to Nasty Nate Rothschild, Dublin the Boss, Blaze Pro, Bullet D Gray, and myself. Those were the five that, and there were other members, but we were the ones that constantly made music together all the time. And my friend Dub, he made the beats, and I would just, I started to learn and watch him make beats, and then I started to learn as well, and he would show me how to do everything. And yeah, so I just took it another notch once we stopped making music together. I got older, about 21. I started to do shows throughout the city, rap throughout the city, and rap in my neighborhood as well. And I started to battle other rappers in my city, and the rest was history.
Let's talk about the rap music. Obviously, it's changed from back to when you first started to where it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
You like the changes of the rap music, or you think it could be scaled back a little bit? Well, what is your thoughts about that?
No, I'll say this. Everything has to evolve, right? And everyone has a different path in life, right? So for every artist, rap music isn't the same, and they don't have the same experience. So the way rap has become now, I guess for some people, they don't understand. Some people don't understand what a person has been through for them to sound the way they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
For us, rap music is simply a way to express ourselves, our environments, and the things that we experience. So the way that it's evolved to becoming one of the biggest genres in music, and has been for 20 years, and now it's kind of turning back the country, going back to the number one. But for 20, 29, 30 years, rap was the top music genre because the stories, people are infatuated with people's stories, what they've been through, and how they overcame that turmoil. And I'm one of those people who happen to have a whole bunch of turmoil. So I speak on it.
Got a question for you. I heard you say during answering that question that, the rap music was one of the biggest music choices of people for a long time. I heard you say that, right? But I also heard you say that, and it's now going backwards where you're now seeing country music taking that spot. My question to you is this, though. Post Malone,
He's a
Beyonce.
little bit of both. He raps and does country. And that's
Right.
another thing. And it's not just Post Malone, it's Nelly. Nelly
Right.
was actually the first, people think that it was Post Malone, but it wasn't. It was Nelly who was the first. He is the only country/rapper to go diamond. Let's be clear on that. So he was the one that broke the barriers with that because, you start seeing him doing songs with country artists and it does exceptionally well, right? So he was the first one that really broke the mold and set a standard for rap artists to break into the country world. And if we're being honest, country music has, people think that it's just a race thing, and it's not really a race thing, right? It's always been whoever can put their pain through the music, because that's what country music is about. It's about the pain. It's about the happy times as well. And it's the same with rap. The pain, the good times, the sad times, the romance. It's all of it is in there. But it depends on who you want to listen to. So I think that when you have artists like Post Malone, he's a good artist. But I think that Post Malone spent a lot of years experimenting with music because he tried all different types of music and he was not successful. He happened to become successful when he chose rap. So, that speaks a testament of how music is universal, and you can reach people with it.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to interview several major artists, country artists from all over, and a lot of the artists that we're interviewing is like what they're saying is like they don't really like where country music is today. I mean, and they're not used to seeing like country rap, country, just the different styles of country you see nowadays in the year. A lot of the artists say they don't really like that, and they feel like if it's country, it should stay country. And obviously you'll get a little bit of a wiggle room there, if you will. But that's kind of
a little bit of what?
A little bit of wiggle room. If it's gonna be country, maybe you go out a little bit, but with the rap and just a different style of country right now, a lot of artists are saying that that's not what country music was back in the day to where it is right now. But where I'm leading with this question is this. I mean, let's face it, not just country music, but all the different genres in music, it's all changing. Rap is changing, country's changing. You get a lot of your pop singers now. Your young crowd is not listening to the current top 40 stuff right now. Some of the rap they're not listening to. A lot of people are listening to old school music. They're listening to country music now. So the whole music scene has really, really changed. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think with country music specifically, right? Whoever said
in general.
My thing is, to answer your question, there's this thing in the world right now where people put stigmas and labels on who should do this and who shouldn't, right? When the reality of it is, music is for everybody. So if you're going to be a country artist and you so happen to choose to put a rapper on your song, it's just like you said, music is evolving. Things can't stay the same forever, because then if it stays the same, there's no progression. And if we want to make the world a better place, everyone has to be on one accord for that to happen. And the way that people have become one accord is through music. Music is timeless. Music is, like I said before, it's very universal, and music helps people get through all types of situations. So, you'll never know what to expect. So the way country music is, the way rap music is now, like you said, it's different genres of rap. Like I was explaining to you before, we had a phone conversation about this, and I had to break it down to you, and you were understanding of that, and I appreciated that, because there are a lot of people that just simply don't understand what rap music really is, and they hear, the violence in music, And they don't understand that some people are just a product of their environment, and the things that they see, they speak on. It's just like country music. The things that they experience, they speak on. So it's not like people have a hard time in every song. Some people do, some people don't. Some people just make backpack rap. Backpack rap is for the college kids, the people who aren't in the streets, the people who don't condone violence, you know. Then you have neo soul rap. There's people who really talk about the deep things about life, you know. I happen to be a rapper that talks about it all because I've done a little bit of everything. I was in the streets at one point in life. I'm no longer in the streets, so my life has changed. So sometimes my topics change, you know, but I still speak on it all because it's things that I've been through and it's my experience. So, yeah.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because my next question is to be, and it's time to get into the nitty gritty with you here. I want you to share with our listeners today who are watching now that will be watching later. Can you share your story with them about what happened to you and how you recovered and how you got to where you are today? So let's take a few moments now and let's really give you an opportunity to share with our listeners. I mentioned watching now, we'll be watching later.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, the floor is yours.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, in order for me to explain that part, I have to explain what I was like prior to what happened to me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Please.
Let me take a sip of water because this is.
I know.
Yeah.
And as you're preparing yourself, I'll let the listeners know they're watching now. We'll be watching later. What Tigman is about to share with us is going to be very, very heartwarming, and it's going to be very emotional. And yeah, I want to just thank him on behalf of Blue Shamrock Music and Stephen Brady and Music Dreams USA Radio. I want to personally thank you for about to share a story that I think that everyone needs to hear. Please share.
All right. So December 3rd, 2011, I was a different type of person. So I was shot in the back of my head by someone I did not know. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And because of that, I lost a piece of my brain the size of a golf ball. You wouldn't know unless I told you. But that's what happened to me. And like I said, in order to understand that part of it, I have to explain a bit about myself and my past, right? So I got shot at 30. So I'll start at 25. You know, I was a person that was infatuated with the street life. You know, I was a hustler out in the streets. And for those that know what hustler means out in the streets, we all know what that means, right? I'm not going to really say too much about that, but, you know, it is what it is. I had a dark past. I was doing things that I had no business doing. You know, I wasn't helping my community. I was hindering my community. And, but like I said, I got shot by someone I did not know. I had no enemies. I didn't have a whole bunch of situations going on to where, you know, people just wanted to kill me. I just happened to be in a place where people were going to war at, and this person thought I looked like the guy that they were beefing with. So I guess this guy thought I was that guy, and I was with a friend. We were coming from Southwest Philadelphia. You know, I'm a married man, but I'm going to be honest. I was living life wrong. I wasn't even, you know, being a good guy. And, you know, I was out here running them up, doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And that happened to me. And when it happened, I was still conscious. The bullet was in my head. I fell to the ground. And all I could see was blood dripping down my face. But I couldn't move. I couldn't pick myself back up. So I tried to crawl. And I was using my forearms to crawl, pulling myself up. And as I was pulling myself, I was trying to like get towards steps. And I was like at the corner of the block, but I made it halfway up the block, crawling, just with my forearms. And when I made it almost to the corner of that block, because I'm from Philadelphia, Philadelphia is a very violent place, and the place that I was at was 5th and Mifflin and 5th Street. Like I said, they were going to war. There were other, sets and things like that. They were going to war, and I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I caught what I caught. I got shot. And by the time I got to that corner, the ambulance basically found me and knocked me out. But within all of that, during surgery, I died. I died during surgery, and I was resuscitated, and they brought me back to life. And as I was dead, I don't know how long I was dead for, but I saw my grandmother, who was already dead for 2 years, and I also felt myself being pulled down and fire on my legs as I was being pulled down. But I saw my grandmama. I was in this dark space, and all I could see was her, and she saw me, and I heard her voice. So I turned around, and I saw her face, and I'm like, Grandma. She was like, you don't belong here. And she pushed me, and then I woke up. When I woke up, I was fresh out of surgery, tubes down my throat and everything. And, I told everyone, like, hey, get these tubes out of my throat. I just seen Grandma. My mother was there. Majority of my family was there. And, it was just a very emotional day for them. For me, I didn't really feel like I had been shot. I didn't know that they had to do brain surgery on me, that my head was cut. I was in the bed. I couldn't feel anything. So, yeah.
How long did it take for you to recover? And I mean, first of all, thank you for sharing that story. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Talk about being emotional, right? I mean, I was like wiping like tears from my eyes. It's like, we've interviewed like so many different artists, and for you to come live on the air right now and to share that story, it takes a man to do that, right? And so I want to personally thank you for sharing that story. Now, the next question is this, though. From that traumatic experience, how have you used it to fuel to where you are today, right now, as a man and an artist?
Okay, so let me answer your first question first. Okay, God is amazing. I'm going to start off by saying that. I had the best surgeon. If I did not have life insurance, and here's a gem, people, make sure you have life insurance out here, because if not, this doctor would not have performed surgery on me, right? I had the best surgeon in Philadelphia perform this surgery on my head. I look normal, as you can see. Now, if I show you guys a bit, I have a scar on my head. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I have a scar on my head all the way to the back of my head. I got shot on this side of my head, but I recovered pretty quickly. So the very next day, I was standing up. The very next day, and they didn't advise that I stand up and try to walk. But I have this thing about me where I won't let anything defeat me. Like I said, I was in the streets. This is the second time I was shot in life. Before I was just on the block. I was on my block, and somebody shot at somebody else, and I got grazed in the leg. So this is something that God was trying to tell me long before I got shot in the head. Like, get out of this situation, change your life. And I wasn't listening. So for me, I look at it like this was God's sign of telling me to change my life, right? So when I was in this hospital bed, I had the determination and will to get up because they already told me, once they ran everything to me, the doctors was like, oh, everything is 50-50. We don't know if you're going to be able to walk again. My speech at the time was horrible. I could barely talk right. But here's the amazing thing about God. This is why I say God is amazing. For 2 hours straight, laying in this hospital bed the very next day after getting shot in the head, I was freestyling for 2 hours straight, loud as hell. I don't know if I can say that, but loud as hell on the hospital bed. And it was driving people crazy on the hospital floor. Like, Mr. Whitaker, can you tone it down? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to stop. They telling me to shut up, but I'm going to keep going because, I can't let up. And they like, whoa, you actually have some skill there. And I was still rapping while they were talking to me. And they were like, okay, Mr. Whitaker. But what they didn't know was I was really trying to test my brain to see if my lyrical ability had went away, because that's something that I feared. Would I be able to still make music? I wasn't even thinking about could I walk again, right? I was more concerned about rapping than walking. So within that same time, I stood up and everybody was running to my aid like, oh. I said, no, get off me. Don't touch me. I don't need help. I'm going to walk to the bathroom myself. And by the grace of God, my first step, I stumbled a bit, but I was able to walk to that bathroom, go to the bathroom myself, and walk right back to that hospital bed.
That's awesome.
So it only took me a month to recover.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to learn how to get my speech right, though, and tie my shoes. I have some things affected by me getting shot on the right side of my head, so the left side of my body is affected. But other than that, like I said, you wouldn't know unless I told you. And by the grace of God, I'm able to do so much. I'm able to, have somewhat of normalcy. But because of it, I had PTSD and schizophrenia because of it, because something traumatic happened to me. So where I am today, to answer your second question, is I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Where I am today is I'm blessed. I'm the head of the podcast division for Music Dreams USA Radio. I'm also a podcast host for my podcast, the Podcast, and starring the podcast, podcast. And also, I also have, music. I still make music, and I'm able to enjoy my wife, my children. I have 2 sons. My son was born 3 weeks after being shot in the head. So my wife was pregnant when I got shot.
Wow.
So this was traumatic for her. This was like one of the hardest things she's ever had to deal with. And because of the simple fact that I died, they had to tell her with a baby in her belly, like, oh, your husband died, but we were able to bring him back to life, and that within itself was traumatic for her. So when my son was born, though, that wasn't it. It wasn't over there. I also caught meningitis in my brain. And at first I didn't want them to do the surgery to, get the meningitis out of me, because they had to use a robot to put this needle about this long in my spine. And I was like, no, y'all not doing that. Y'all not using a robot. If you're going to do that for me, I need a human to do it.
Right.
I don't trust robotics. I don't trust AI. Sorry. For those that love technology, I love technology to a certain extent, not to perform surgery. But, I let them do it. And by the grace of God, they were able to do that surgery. And here I am now talking and walking, because if I did not get that surgery within the next 4 hours, I would have went brain dead and would have died.
Wow. So let me ask you this. During your testimony, I heard you talk a lot about God, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm on board with that too, because, I think a lot more people need to hear about this story because there's a lot of people right now that are mocking God, who don't believe in God, who don't believe in Jesus, right?
Right.
And I have a story I can share, and I'll share that maybe when you interview me. I'll share my story with you. We'll do that a little bit later on.
Absolutely.
But this show is all about you today. And the reason I bring that up is like there's a lot of hurting people right now. I mean, and the world is in disarray. I mean, no matter where you go, the world is messed up right now. There's all kinds of crazy things going on, and the fact that you have this story, and you can share that story and show people to know that there is a God, there is a Jesus. He does answer prayer.
Absolutely. Jesus is the reason why I'm still here,
He's
and
never late. He's always on time. But here's how
always,
I'm going there, right?
always.
You talk about writing music, right? Have you considered writing a Christian song to share with the world?
Absolutely. I actually have a few that I'm working on right now. I'm working with Glenda Baker. She's an executive producer with movies and things like that. And I'm working on a song with her. And then I have another song called God Got Me. And God Got Me, it talks about, the things I've been through. And it also talks about the oppression of black and brown people, but also the oppression of people's right to speak freely about anything, right? So for me, I'm gonna be very clear because I want the listeners to understand. Yes, I do secular music. Yes, I do street music, but I do conscious music as well. And God is working on me to be where a point where I can do just simply music for Him, right? I'm on that road now, but there are, some things about myself that I know I need to correct before I get there, right? But I will say this, that my faith has never wavered or went away. At first I was one of those people who, when something happens to them, they're angry at God. When the reality is, you should be looking at yourself in the mirror. You put yourself there, and God had to teach me that, if it was not for God and it wasn't for the blessings that Jesus Christ has put in my life, I would not be able to even share this story with anyone today, So, like you said, people act as if there is no God. Look at your life. When things aren't going the way that you want them to, it's because you feel that way. People think that God isn't vengeful. People think that God doesn't punish us. People think that God is just some magic man in the sky that just gives us everything that we want, but He requires a relationship with Him in order to get the desires of your heart. And I had to realize that myself. And because of that, I started to read more. I started to pray more. My relationship has gotten a whole lot closer with God because of it. And because of it, blessings like this happened. I became a boss here. I have my shows syndicating on another station as well, but I'm able to do partnerships with Russell, and I'm able to have relationships with people from all walks of life. Because when you do podcasting, and people don't really think about that, when you do radio interviews and podcasting, those people that come on the show, you have to build relationships with them in order to even get them on the show.
That's so true.
So I'm meeting people from all walks of life, and God is blessing me with these amazing people, all off me sharing my story while still giving Him the glory. And that's what it's about.
Wow. I mean, very well said. I mean, I don't think I could have said that any better than you did. I mean, you got a story, and I mean, and God gave you that story. Now He's giving you an opportunity to share that story with people who need to hear it.
Absolutely.
I think that, you have the type of story that can touch someone's life to where they are right now, where they feel like, there's no tomorrow for them. They have all the talent in the world, and they put their hands up in the sky like, I'm done, I'm out, I can't do it, I give up.
And I've been there.
One thing I love about your story is you were down that road, but you never gave up.
Absolutely.
You stood the course, Of course, there's ups and downs throughout the course. What you said there.
Yeah, life has its ups and downs. It has its turns, and you never know where God is going to lead you. Right? Sometimes we think that everything should happen for us instantly and overnight. It does not work that way. And God will not permit you to have the desires of your heart without a relationship with Him. It's just that simple.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to have a relationship with Him, right? Excuse me. So yeah, I mean, just an amazing story, and the fact that you shared that, I mean, I tip my hat to you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners on the show today?
Yeah. So, my whole entire life, I've been, my whole entire life has been like damn near death experiences, right? And this is how I got to this road that I'm on, right? When I was very young, I went to Barrett Middle School in Philadelphia, and this made the news, so this is public information. So for those that don't know, I'm just going to share it because the world, I don't mind sharing my life with the world because I'm an artist. You know, they'll understand why they hear, sometimes they might hear a violent record from me, and then the next moment, I'm kind of like where DMX was in his life. DMX was one of the most profound artists, but he struggled with a lot, right? I didn't struggle like he was because I didn't have crack addiction or anything like that, or addiction with anything. But I will say this. I've had so many near-death experiences that I know that God was trying to show me to change. But even in middle school, like I started with, in middle school, I was hung out of the 5th floor window in school by kids who were older than me. And that was the beginning of it, right? I saw my life flashing in front of my eyes then. Bullies will be bullies, so that's what that was. They were the bullies. They were way older than me. I was the little guy. They hung me from my feet and shook me and all of that and pulled me back in and things like that. And it made the news because it happened to my friend as well. He told his mom, and his mom told the news and told the people what was going on in the school, and it became a public thing, right? But as life went on for me, that had changed me. And that's how I got into the street life, because I felt like nobody's ever going to bully me again. Nobody's ever going to treat me this way. And I became something that wasn't designed for me to be, and I can be honest. I became a monster out in the street. I wasn't I was a super cool guy and built a lot of relationships and people loved me, but I still had this attitude with me and this chip on my shoulder because things were always happening to me. Right.
Wow.
And life wasn't easy. I didn't have the best relationships, and I had spent time in a boys' home because I chose to be a truant kid. I skipped school. I was stealing cars. I was doing all types of things that I shouldn't have been doing. And I used to blame God for me being in this place because I was sentenced by a judge to be in a boys' home. And for those that don't know, all boys' homes aren't the same. Some boys' homes are like jail, and some are like family homes. I was in both. So I was in like the jail one first, and I had to work my way to a family home. So, I was going to church in this program. They had all sorts of programs for us to help us, rehabilitate and become better kids, So when I became 18, I came back home, and instead of going the right way, I went the left way. And this is how what happened to me. So I say that to say, make better decisions in life. People should make better decisions in life and never give up on yourself, but also don't give up on God even when it's hard. Because God is with you through your whole journey anyway. So when you think that God isn't there, he's been there the whole time. He knows your destiny.
Yeah, very well said. And I couldn't agree with you more. And as we wind down our interview here this afternoon, again, thank you so much for coming on our show and sharing that amazing story. I mean, I'm just like, wow. I mean, as I mentioned when we open up the show, right? I've been blessed to interview so many different people, and to have the opportunity to interview a human being like yourself. I'll tell you what, it's like I mean, I tip my hat to you,
I
and
appreciate that.
I
I
wish you
appreciate that.
God, I wish you God's best as you move forward. And the only thing I would say to you is like, you got a story, right? And I think, you need to share that story with everybody, because the more people to hear about this story, it's going to give them hope. It doesn't only just give you hope, but it gives other people hope too, who maybe are in a worse situation than you're in. So I would encourage you to get that story out to as many people as you can. And
Oh
then,
man, I'm on the road to that, Russell. I'm also a part of a nonprofit
Mhm.
that helps young boys to become better men out here. And because of that, it's called Build Inc. And I'm also a part of another one called to Make a Man. We help young men have some alignment to be better men out here, and also Build Inc. is for young boys or girls to learn a construction skill, learn how to build houses and things like that. You get a stipend every week and things like that, to help the community. So that's what I do. I tell my story. I try to, help kids go the right way so that they don't go the wrong way. For me, it's something that I really take to heart, because my life should be used as an example to learn how to choose the right thing over the wrong thing. Help people understand that, because the more that you share that, the more people can make better decisions for themselves. And that's what I want to do. I want to help people, because that's what we're all here for anyway, right? God designed it so that we not only share his word, but help others. And if my story helps someone, then he's pleased. And I am as well. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I want it to be. So, when y'all look at me as an artist, just know that, I'm on the road to being a different type of artist. But like I said, my music is based on my experiences. So if I'm angry in a moment, you'll hear an angry record. If I'm happy in the moment, you'll hear that. If I'm sad in the moment, you'll hear that as well. So, I rap about everything that I endure and experience. And like I said before, music is universal. So when you're putting those types of records out, there's someone that can relate, but I also understand that your lyrics control how people think. So be careful about what you put out there. You know what I'm saying? I know that too, but that's for God to deal with me with, when the time comes, and I'm fully aware of that as well. So yeah, man.
Awesome stuff, my brother. Let's switch gears now. Recently you were just promoted on Music Dreams USA Radio to being the lead and the podcast team for a radio station that's really up and coming right now. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about the opportunity and what do you think about it?
Well, I'm excited to be on Music Dreams and the podcast. You want me to explain it a little bit more to them, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So the podcast with Tigmatic is about the struggles artists go through while having to entertain the world. So people like myself and others, all artists of all sorts of life, whether you're a country artist, a rock artist, a rapper, a jazz musician, a drummer, whatever you do, if you've been through some turmoil in life, we talk about it and how you overcame it, to share those stories with the people and help people relate, you know. And that's how we build a bridge for conversations on how we can make the world better and the music better. So that's what the pot is about. Stirring the pot. Now I'm gonna need you to do this with me, Russell. Stir the pot a little bit. Stirring the pot.
We stirring the pot right now, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Stirring the pot is simply about the artist. We highlight the artist and we talk about whatever projects they have coming. If they have music, we'll play their music. And if they have a video, we'll highlight your music video as well on the pod. So yeah, it's been a growing show for both of them. They're both growing, and it will be on Music Dreams very soon. I'm putting a few things together, a few more things as far as like the artists that I want on the playlist, because that part is tedious within itself, and it takes a lot of work because you have to really vet the artist to make sure they fit with what the mission is. So being as though that this is a young station and y'all play old school, I'm the new guy bringing in the new school. So,
and we're stirring the pot.
You know, so I'm the new guy bringing in the new school, and I want people to understand what my mission is, and the mission is to help us bridge and spark conversations about the differences in music and life all together. You know, a lot of times people make this a race thing, right? And I want to say this because this is what happens. And I have to be real. That's all I can be. And we on Music Dreams, people's dreams are on the line. So I have to be honest, right? And that's what my show is about, transparency. A lot of people make it about race, but it's not really about race for me. You know, people make things about race. For me, it's about helping all the races understand each other so that we can come together. Because honestly, there's only one race, and that's the human race. Now, yes, are there different cultures? Absolutely. But the only way things can get better is if we all build an understanding and build together and grow together.
I got a question for you. You know, we do the Artist Spotlight show every Wednesday night, and we interview like some of the, you know, the major stars in country. And the last few shows, I want to say, we've been talking a lot about the royalties getting paid out to artists. And a lot of artists that we're speaking to right now are not happy with the payout. You know, in fact, I had one artist, and I won't mention his name, but when we were doing our show, he mentioned, you know, we put in all the work, we use our talents, we put in all the work, and we send our music out to all these major streaming outlets, and they're pocketing all the money, and the artists who use their talent and all their, you know, their resources to put the song together are getting paid pennies on a dollar.
Absolutely.
And in fact, he said he makes 7 cents for every time someone you know, clicks on this song. He makes between 7 and 10 cents for one hit.
And you know how much those corporations are making? $40 per artist.
Right. Why is that? Well, here's my question now, okay? Number one, it's a two-part question for you. The first part is, why is that? Secondly, can this be fixed where they can go back and revisit this and maybe redo the structure where it's an even playing field for everyone and everyone's getting paid equally and fairly?
Okay, so the first part of your question, they're doing that because they're greedy. The labels, the major labels, they're very greedy and they don't want to pay people and compensate them for their work. Everyone that does any type of work, whether it's podcasting, radio, or music, you should be compensated for your work. Let's get that out there first, right? Secondly, should people go back to the table and deal with the people after knowing that they were getting jerked? Honestly, in my opinion, I push for independence. I think that these people, you don't really need the streaming giants nowadays, especially when you can create your own. You can create your own website and build your own streaming platform, just like you do here. I'm doing that on the pot. And You can basically cut the middleman out and do it your own way and get all the monies for you and whatever it is that you're trying to do and whatever other endeavors that you're trying to do. I think that they could get it right if they paid people right, but the reality of it is these corporate entities, they make over $40 billion a year doing this. Why would they change it? They'll just try to dress it up to make it look nice, but they're still going to get the bigger chunk out at the end of the day.
Let me ask you this then. Can they be forced to change?
Well, the government is trying to do that now. The government is trying to force them to pay people outright so that way the artist can make a livable wage. You know, honestly, for us, it takes thousands of dollars for studios and studio time. Some people don't have home studios. I have a home studio, but some people, for those that don't, they're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars going to the studio, and they're putting the music out, and then they're putting it on these streaming platforms, the Spotifys, the YouTubes, and all of that. And YouTube is getting the bulk, but they're paying you like, $4, $3. You're lucky if you get $40 or even $100.
Wow.
You know, Snoop Dogg had over 1 billion streams and they only gave this man 40 grand. That doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense.
That's to my point where, I mean, how can this even happen? I mean, you know, this is a conversation. As a matter of fact, we're putting together a podcast. I'll share this with the listeners live on the show, and I'll share it with you as well. We're actually here at Music Dreams USA Radio because we support artists, right? Established upcoming artists. And what we're doing is we're putting together a podcast, which will be seen here on Music Dreams USA Radio, along with Blue Shamrock Music. We're going to get some artists together, and we're going to talk about this very same topic as what can be done, how can we work together to get everyone on the same page and to change. I mean, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
it is.
You can live on 10 cents on a play when it maybe takes you God knows how long to put the song together. You're using God's talents that He's given you to do the song. I mean, and it's so much, as you just mentioned, right? So much studio time, a lot of time writing a song. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. How can we make it fair for everyone on the equal playing field? So this is a show that I'll share with you and our listeners right now that we're going to be putting together, and we're going to get answers. We're going to go to the big boys and say, hey, listen, why are you making $40 million, all right, on artist songs, and you're paying them pennies on a dollar?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
I suggest, I think, like I said, it's greed. You know, I really feel as though it's greed because, you know, a lot of people don't read the small print. And I literally talked about that on the song. I said, yeah, he signed on the dotted line, so this soul ain't read the small print. And that's one thing that, you know, I tell all the artists, read. You know, don't be ignorant. And it doesn't matter what type of artist you are, whether you're a country artist, a rap artist, rock artist, R&B artist, pop artist, read their terms, because sometimes we agree to the terms and then get the dry end of the stick. And you don't want that, you know. You want to be aware of everything that's going on before you sign up to these streaming giants and all of that. And also, like I said, independence is actually the better way now. And it's been proven because we see all of these independent artists make the millions of dollars that they deserve because they didn't say yes to the majors. You know, the majors have been doing this since the 50s, bro.
Wow.
That's a long time to be the one. They're the three-headed monster, and now someone has to come with the sword, Excalibur, and just cut it all off.
Wow.
You know, so they could get it right, but the reality of it is, if they paid everybody what they deserved, then their company wouldn't be valued at what it is. Or maybe it could be if they, you know, they gave, you know, the artists shares of their company and all of that. You know, there's a whole lot of ways that they can do this, you know, but it also starts with paying people what they deserve.
Right. I totally agree. And so, how can our listeners are watching now? Will be watching later. How can
Mm-hmm.
they get in contact with you, and how can they download your music?
Well, unfortunately, I have music on Spotify under Tigmatic, Apple Music, Tigmatic. Instagram, you can find me on Instagram, Tigmatic. For the show, the Pot Podcast with Tigmatic, it's the _pot _podcast _with Tigmatic _. Also, you can find me on Facebook under Matic, Matic, Whitaker, Whitaker. And that is where you'll find all the shows that are, where Music Dreams USA Radio Worldwide and Hustle 215 Radio have the pod, and you can go watch, or you can go on YouTube and watch. Type in the Pot Podcast with Tigmatic, where you can find Stirring the Pot and the Pot. And yeah, and people like the show. It's starting to do what it's supposed to do. I've had all sorts of life. Like I said before, I had boxing legend Simon One Punch Carr. I had music mogul Anthony Johnson. And the list goes on. There's a lot of people that's been on the show that somebody, and then I had underground artists and a few established artists as well. I've had one political leader so far, and I'm looking to get more. But if you would like to get on the show, send your submissions to the Pot Podcast with Tigmatic group via Facebook, or you can reach me at the Pot Podcast with Tigmatic at gmail.com.
Awesome. And any final thoughts as we bring our show to a close?
Yeah, man, my final thoughts. Okay. Don't be afraid to live out your dreams, because that's what music is about. Don't be afraid to tell your story. And if you're going to do music, I suggest be independent and have a structure to where as you go along, things get better, because even being in business, everything is a learning experience. And it's called the music business, not the pay you business, the music business. I suggest you go and learn as much as you can. Learn about royalties, copyrights, trademarks, everything that you need to learn. Everything about my shows and everything is already copywritten and trademarked. And that's because I had to learn these things, which means at some point in time in life, I got jerked, right? So you learn from your mistakes. So let life be your biggest teacher and learn from your mistakes. Also, my last and final thing I want to say is thank you for having me on, Russell. And thank you to the world for listening. And I hope that you guys learned something about, life in general and me as well. So I thank you guys for taking the time out to listen. And hey, stay positive out here.
Yeah, my friend. What a great show it was. And
absolutely,
I just can't thank you enough, my friend. And we'll definitely have you on the show for part 2. Okay, I'll bring you back for sure. Because I think this is a story.
There's definitely more to tell on the story. Even the whole being shot part. It's a lot, but it all goes to my testimony and how things can be better for people out here. Music is the driving force that pushes me, but being a business owner, a father, a husband, that's the ultimate drive for me. So with that being said, I couldn't have it any other way. I'm thankful. I'm blessed. I thank God for every day that I get up. And, I'm thankful for having friends like you and the others that push me. Like I said, I want to give a special shout out to Music Dreams USA Radio. And I also want to give a shout out to Fabian James Sr.
Yes.
As well. And Jay Weldon. These are the people that are, and my wife as well. My wife is the last because I saved the best for last. Lala Whitaker, thank you. I love you. You are the reason that I breathe and push forward every day. I love you. And yeah, man.
Well, you know what?
Podcast, folks.
Before we close out our show, I want to talk about Fabian.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's talk about Fabian, man, because I know he's part of our team now too, and I know he'll be watching this interview. So let's take a few moments here. Let's talk about Fabian. I mean, he's an amazing guy. I mean, a Grammy Award artist. A songwriter, an artist like yourself.
Yeah, Grammy nominated, Billboard charted singer, and arranger, and my manager as well. So
exactly. Well, soon he'll be my manager too.
Yeah, he's amazing, man. He's amazing. And one thing about Fabian, I'll say this: he's willing to work with anybody who wants to work hard, and he believes in me, and that's what I love him for. I love the fact that he believes in me. He sees the vision, and he wants me to keep pushing. And that's what you want when you deal with people who are, kindred spirits, and they're great out there. He's a great person, and he wants to see everybody succeed, and he'll help you in whatever way he can in order for that to help happen.
Yeah, I mean, very well said. I mean, when he came on board of Music Dreams USA Radio, I mean, not that we didn't have credibility before, but we had credibility before you guys came on board. But once you guys came on board, it just added that credibility for us. And I mean, and just things he does for us, and just to lead it, the leadership part of it, and he'll do a lot more stuff for us as time goes by. But I mean, yeah, he's just an amazing guy, and just to have him on our team, what a blessing that is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's a rock star. That's my guy. Shout out to you, bro. You got me popping in this joint. I'm gonna talk like I talk. If people feel offended, I'm sorry, but I gotta be myself, and that's what I like about Russell. He lets me be myself. He get it popping out here.
We're stirring the pot. Remember, we're stirring the pot.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, my friend, and I appreciate you so much. And take the rest of the day spending with your beautiful family, and back on Monday we'll all be back to work again.
Hey, man, listen. I want to thank you, man. Thank you for reaching out to me. That's what started this whole thing to begin with. So I want to thank you for reaching out, and we made some things happen. The sky is the limit. You can only keep going up from here. Long as you put God first, and long as we continue to have this great rapport, things will always work out just fine. I like
you say that.
We're a team out here.
We are, and we're only 3 years old, and our station has a lot more to learn and grow. And just the fact that we are where we are right now, it's definitely been a blessing just to do what we're doing and to have the relationships that we have right now, and to learn from professionals like yourself. And so yeah, thank you for all that you do. And I mean, we can't thank you enough. But
you're welcome. You're welcome. Like I said, I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah, since we're live on the air, I want to stir the pot a little bit and say, one person say thank you for all the hard work that you do, and all the hard work you will do for us. And one day, I put this in a comment the other day in our private page, and I told the team, with all the hard work that we're doing right now, and all the things that we're doing, all the pots we're in right now, one day we're all going to look back as a team, and we'll see where we started and where we are right now, and we're all going to understand why we are where we are right now, because of all the hard work we put in right now to let people know about us, what we are, who we are, what we're doing. We're a radio station trying to make a name, and we're a radio station trying to help people who need help, especially in the world right now. There's a lot of people that need help, but they're afraid to ask for that help because they feel embarrassed, whatever the case may be. And
everybody needs help, and that's one thing that people have to stop doing. Stop using your pride as the reason why you can't progress.
Right.
You know,
And we want
pride is the
dedication.
ultimate killer of success. You
Yes.
know, so get your ego out of the way, get your pride out of the way, work with those that are willing to work with you to make it happen.
I couldn't agree with you more.
My phone was getting a little low, Russell.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. And
Thank
you have a
you.
great rest of your day. And again, that was Tigmatic. He's a part of Music Dreams USA Radio. He's an artist. He also runs our podcast division as well. And as I mentioned in the beginning of our broadcast, he will have a radio show on Music Dreams USA Radio. If
The
you're not
Tigmatic Morning Show, folks. That's
right.
what it's called. I finally found the name, and people were saying something else, but I was like, nah, just keep it simple. The Tigmatic Morning Show.
There you go. He'll be on right after the Russell K. Alexa and Shauna Brown morning show. We'll get you on there. So, yeah, I love it. But again, if you're an upcoming aspiring artist, if you want to get your name out there, make sure you check out Blue Shamrock Music and Stephen Brady. He's an amazing person, and he helps to promote upcoming aspiring artists. Again, you can check out our show every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. And again, make sure you join us. We'll be live on all of our social media outlets as well. Again, special thank you to Tigmatic, and hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching our broadcast, being brought to you once again by Music Dreams USA Radio Worldwide Sports, and also Tigmatic and Blue Shamrock Music. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your day.